boys and girls, welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 5.6, Three-Dimensional Shapes. The materials that you'll need today, pencil, math journal, and then your template. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go over our math boxes from the previous lesson. So if you can open up your math journal to page 122. If you're noticing that you have any mistakes, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. For question 1, how many cubes? So you should have said that there's a total of 43 because we have 4 longs and 3 cubes. Then you were asked to cross off 13 of them, and then you should have seen that there are 30 cubes left. So writing a number model, we have 43 minus 13 equals 30. For question 2, fill in the missing numbers. So they started with 112. We know 10 less would be 102. 1 more than that would be 103. Going back to 112, 1 more would be 113. Then going to 121, we know 1 more would be 122, and then 123. For question 3, you could have had lots of different answers, but you needed to use your ruler to draw the line segment MS. So you can see that I made mine 4 centimeters long. So if you can double check to make sure that your line matches how many centimeters long you said it was, and then that you labeled one end M and the other end S. For question 4, a triangle we know has 3 sides, a rhombus has 4, a trapezoid also has 4, and a hexagon has 6 sides. For question 5, how many dots are in this 4 by 6 array? So you could have counted by 4s, you could have counted by 6s, or counting them individually, but you should have said that there are 24 dots. For question 6, write 3 numbers that add up to 20. Again, there's lots of different answers. What I chose today is I know that 7 plus 8 equals 15, plus 5 more would get me to 20. So double check to make sure that you have this page correct before moving on. On this next slide, you don't need to write anything down, but I want you to either think to yourself or whisper, what is the name of this shape? And if you're thinking that it is a cylinder, you are correct. I'm going to show you 6 more or 5 more like that. What shape is this? If you're thinking cone, you are correct. How about this shape? If you're thinking pyramid, you are correct. How about this one? If you said sphere, that is right. 2 more. What shape is this? If you thought cube, you are correct. And our last one, how about this shape? You should have said rectangular prism. That one's a little bit of a tricky one. So now let's take a closer look at these pages in our math journal. So if you could open up your math journal to page 124. So at the top you can see a few different rectangular prisms. And the big thing to notice is that there's the same shape on both of the ends. They also show us a cube here, and a cube can go into that same category, but it also can just be a cube too. We can see our cylinders, how we have a circle on both of the ends. A sphere kind of looks like a ball, but we call it a sphere. A cone, we can kind of think it looks a little bit like an ice cream cone. And then there's a lot of different types of pyramids. So we can see one pyramid that has a square in the bottom. It looks like this pyramid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, has a hexagon on the bottom. And so when we're looking at these shapes, we can see how many vertices it has. Vertices are talking about how many points, how many faces or how many flat parts, and then how many edges. The edges are like the line segments that are connecting the shape. And then when we're looking at like our cone and our sphere, these are a little bit different because they have a base and then they have a curved surface. So it's not the same. Okay? So now let's take a look. What's the name of the shape? So we're looking at page 125. And so if you can look at these shapes and write down the name of each of them. And if you're wanting to use page 124 for spelling, that might be really helpful. So why don't you press pause, complete this page, and then press play when you're ready to check. All right, second graders, for this first one you should have had, it looks like a sphere. For number 2, it looks like a cylinder. Number 3, the present is a rectangular prism. For number 4, the book is also a rectangular prism. Number 5 is a pyramid. Number 6 is a cylinder. Number 7 is also a cylinder. Number 8 is a sphere. Number 9 is a pyramid. And number 10 is a cone. So if you can double check to make sure that you have this page correct before moving on. We are now going to go back a couple pages to look at page 123. And this is what 123 looks like. So what we need to do, we're going to draw a line segment between each pair of points and record how many line segments you drew. So in the example, we drew a line segment from A to B, from B to C, and then from C to A, for giving us a total of 3 line segments. So for question 1, I want you to draw a line segment connecting each of these to each of the letters. So you'll connect A to P, but then you'll also connect A to L, A to U. Then you'll do the same thing. You'll connect P to U, P to L. If P is already connected to A, you don't need to do it another time. And then you'll tell me how many line segments you drew. So why don't you try problems number 1 and 2, press pause, and then press play when you're ready to check problems 1 and 2. Okay, let's take a look at problem number 1. So when you connected all of the line segments, it should have looked something like this. So you can see how my A, I connected to P, I connected it to L, I connected it to U. And then I did the same thing with the letter P. It was already connected to A, so I didn't need to do that again, but I needed to connect it to U and L. And then it looks like I needed to do L to U. And so when I count how many lines I had, I can see I have 4 going around, plus I have 2 in the middle for a total of 6 line segments. Now press pause if you need more time to fix number 2. Okay, so for number 2, look at all those line segments. So from each of them, so you can see how I connected S to each of those letters, and then I went to O and connected them, R, E, and that final spot as well. When I count all of my line segments, I should have had a total of 10 line segments. So if you want to double check to make sure yours matches mine. For the bottom, try this. So it's asking us connect the points in order from 1 to 3, use a straight edge, and then find and name 3 triangles, and then see if you can name a 4th triangle. The last thing you're doing is coloring a 4-sided figure. So if you can press pause, try this, and then press play when you're ready to check. All right, second graders, so you can see how I connected point 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. So if you didn't already do that, why don't you do that first? And then it says find and name 3 triangles. So I found the triangle A, 1, 2. I found the triangle A, 3, 2, and 1, 2, 3. Then it was asking us if I could find the name of another triangle, and there's the big triangle A, B, C. Then the last thing for this part is to color a 4-sided figure. So you can see the part that I colored purple. So double check to make sure that you have your page correct before moving on to math boxes. All right, for math boxes today, we're looking at page 126. I'm going to talk about the directions, then I'll ask that you complete the page on your own. When you're all done, if you can take a picture and add that picture to Seesaw, and then we'll go over this page in our next video. So for question 1, you're counting by 1,000. For question 2, you're matching quarters to cents for each of these. For question 3, you're telling the ways to get to school, so how many children walk to school. Solving for number 4. For question 5, buy a model dinosaur for 37 cents, pay with 2 quarters, how much change? And then for our last question, number 4, last question, number 6, 4 children share 12 slices of pizza equally. How many slices does each child get? If you want to draw a little picture at the bottom, that might be helpful, and then answer the question. All right, I'll see you next time.